Hi, this is Bill Hartzer, and this is the Digital Marketing Podcast with Bill Hartzer. Today, I have the pleasure of having Mark Traphagen, who is the Vice President or VP of Product Marketing and Training from seoClarity. Welcome, Mark. And tell me a little bit about yourself and your background. I know probably known you probably going on 10 years now or so, but in various capacities. But tell me a little bit about yourself and your background and how you got into digital marketing and SEO.
Sure. So like a lot of us, I kind of backed into digital marketing and SEO. It's certainly not what I thought I wanted to be when I was growing up. Of course, I'll confess to being old enough that it wasn't even a thing that anybody imagined they'd want to be when they were growing up, when I was a child. But I started out, did about 10 years of sales, when I was in sales, on the road sales, about 15 or more years of classroom teaching. And then I had my midlife crisis. I went back to school for, graduate school. And while I was in graduate school, got a part-time job in the campus bookstore. And this is right when Amazon was coming in, and the campus bookstore was hurting. It was losing money. Small campus that we were on, the school was threatening to even close down the bookstore. So the boss one day put me down in front of a computer online and said, figure out how to take us online. And kind of threw me in the deep end, and all this because I was a blogger at the time, so I knew all about the internet.
Sure.
But we learned it. We taught it to ourselves. We built an e-store, and then we learned how to market it. And the bug bit. Like by the time I was done at school, I knew this is what I wanted to do next. So we moved here to Durham, North Carolina. I talked my way into a job in a local agency here, or not a local, but a big agency. And just learned at the feet of people like Russ Jones, who's most recently been a data scientist with Moz.
Sure.
Just got to learn, SEO from the ground up, and fell in love with it. Went on to work with Eric Enga for 5 years at Stone Temple. And now I'm at seoClarity, seeing it from the other side of the desk. I'm in-house at a software developer, software as a service, one of the largest SEO platforms in the world, marketing from the inside out. So I'm getting to see it all and enjoying it.
Sure. What I find, talking to a lot of folks in the industry, I find overall, and this is how kind of I came into the industry also, is that, is not something that, we went to school for, and not something that, we said, okay, we want to go into digital marketing. And, we learned it as a necessity, and then we learned it as we go. And, it sounds like, especially with the bookstore experience, and said, okay, well, we need to get this online and start ranking. And I was actually in-house as a webmaster and at a telecom software company, and kind of did it as the website as a necessity, and found that we had a lot of content internally for our products. So we started to use that as content and so forth, and just learned it that way. And then I also was doing, sort of affiliate as well. So on the side. I've been basically always a fan of, learning this and learning SEO as you actually go out and do it, create your own website, or do, just get your feet wet and start doing it and learning that way. And, as long as you have some computer experience, I think, you can get into this industry if you're willing to learn. So basically, so today we want to talk a little bit about, about schema and schema markup. And I kind of learned years ago, basically with the HTML code, with, you adding headings, H1s, H2s, bulleted lists, numbered lists, and so forth. But in the past several years, schema has been created by by the search engines in order to allow them to pull more information about a lot of things, and to help them populate their back-end databases. So tell me a little bit about why we need to add schema to our web pages, or even certainly we all already have HTML and HTML markup, but what does schema and why would we want to even pay attention to it?
I'm really intrigued that you began with talking about HTML, because I think it's a great simple example of that.
Sure.
It's a form of structured data that most of us have been using for many, many years and are familiar with. We don't even think about it anymore, but it's exactly what HTML really is. It's structuring data. The data in this case is the content that you want to put onto a web page, and the HTML tells a web browser what all that data is, how to structure it. So an H1 tag, this is
Sure.
a big title, H2, and so forth. All those things are just a way of telling the browser, giving it a simple set of instructions that tell it, like, this is how to organize this data and present it in a web browser. So when we talk about schema markup, it's just another step up of structured data. One of the challenges, and the reason it exists, is for search engines, as they became less and less dependent on just link citations and began to get more interested in being able to analyze content on a page, analyze elements on a page, understand what a page is about, understand what's going on there and what's on the page. Um, it's a great challenge in computer science to be able to do that and to be able to do it at scale. And with machine learning and all this, they're getting better and better at it all the time. But they still figured, let's give webmasters a way to help us out here, a way to tell us what all this information on the page is, or what a lot of it is. So think of schema very simply as a set of code that you can add around elements on your page that tell a search engine, this is what this is. So this is a person, place, or thing, or this is a recipe, or this is a FAQ list, or this is the times that my business is open. There's just hundreds of possible applications, all bits and pieces of common data that are common to many sites, but you're just kind of pointing out to the search engine, this is what this kind of data is. So at a simple level, that's what we're talking about when we talk about schema. And then one more thing is, just as you alluded to, the reason it's been so powerful and so widely adopted is because it was a consortium of a number of the leading search engines got together in one of their rare cooperative efforts and said, like, it'll benefit us all if they form this site called schema.org, and they work together and said, let's open source this, let's build it on what the community wants and needs out there and what we all need, and we'll agree together so that webmasters, developers, SEOs can use a uniform set of code, and it will apply to all the major search engines.
Sure. It's basically to help them organize, I mean, I've heard this before, organize the world's information. And
Yeah.
we talk about, a lot of it can be person, places, and things, and types, and, whether it's, we're explaining that there's there's several different types. And we come down, comes down to one of the simplest and most commonly used is, local business. And I think about a local business or even an organization, and you're basically telling the search engines that, this page or this information on the page is about this particular organization, and this is the author, this is the publisher, this is the owner of this content. And when we think about a local business, they have, name, address, phone number, hours of operation, longitude, latitude, map information, URL. We get into URL and the logo and a short description and so forth. So a lot of that information is standard, and there's basically ways to implement the code. And even for a lot of people where it becomes difficult, when we say, oh well, we mentioned the word code, there's it can be obviously difficult for a lot of people, even if I sat down and wrote code, and I can write some code, but it's easier for me a lot actually to use a form and copy and paste, the name, the address, the phone number of local business,
Mm-hmm.
and fill out a form and have that code automatically generated. So I know that since seoClarity has a fairly new browser, plugin for Google Chrome that helps us add this information or build this code. Tell me a little bit about this new, this the seoClarity, the Schema browser plugin.
Sure, I'd be glad to. We come up with, like we do everything at seoClarity, we come up with it because we hear a need from our clients and the SEOs that are out there.
Sure.
And one of the challenges of Schema, you hit it right on the head, nail right on the head, is producing the code, making sure that it's valid, that's done correctly, and doing that at scale, which is a hard challenge. And there've been some tools out there over the years that can do it. There's some good tools out there that you can pay for, that are paid, that will help you do that, or agencies that specialize in helping to implement that. But we wanted to come up with a quick, easy to use solution that could enable virtually anyone to create and implement proper, correct schema code on the pages on their site, and to do it without any necessarily in-depth coding. So, like you said earlier, like it would be comparable to somebody writing a blog post in HTML. Now, I used to work with Eric Enga, and I think he still does to this day. Eric actually writes all of his blog posts in HTML. He's just what he's used to, what he grew up on, his background, and so he feels comfortable doing that. But most of us don't do that. We write it in some kind of CMS, like WordPress or something like that, where we got a WYSIWYG. We just type it in. We just use our normal toolbar for bolding and italics and headlines and such, and the CMS fills all that in. It's creating the HTML code in the background. So our schema builder tool does a similar kind of function for building schema code. What's unique about it? So first of all, let me tell people now, and we'll repeat it again, like where they can get this, because it's absolutely free. You find the tool at schema.dev. So schema.dev, schema.dev. And that's where you can go to learn about the tool and to get it from the Chrome store and have it installed in your Chrome browser. And once you have it installed, all you have to do is go to any page on your site and hit the icon in your toolbar for the schema builder. It'll pop down a sidebar while you're on that page, and then you select the kind of schema that you want to use. And we started out with 4 types. We're adding every week now. We're adding more types. We're obviously adding the ones first that most SEOs or most sites have the highest priority for. But over the course of the next year, we're going to be adding in all the types that anyone that are actually used by Google and the major search engines. So you pick the type that you want to use, and here's where it's so easy. Right on the web page, you simply, with your mouse, you highlight the element on the page that you want to build that code around. So let's say that you're using, we mentioned like a business address, and that address appears on this particular page. You'd actually highlight the address, you click, and the code is created. The code is pre-validated. It's JSON LD code. You just take it, you paste that into code of your page, and you're good to go. So it's really that simple. It's paint and click.
That's great. And there are, it's interesting. I have noted that Google does provide us with kind of a schema validator tool that we can obviously put in the URL, and it'll look at the page and tell us whether there are errors or warnings. Just as a note, I've noticed that if there's an error on the page, Google will have a problem with it, and that page may or may not get indexed, or they may not even rank, if you will. But if there, warnings are okay, because sometimes I've noticed that sometimes they would like us to add in prices and other details like that, where a price is not available for a certain particular product, for example. So it might show a warning that, hey, you don't have a price for this product, and there may not be one that you can provide. But those tend to be warnings, those types of things, but errors may be that there's additional issues, and that's something to pay attention to. I was actually working with some schema code this morning, and it was FAQ page schema. So the FAQ page basically is a frequently asked questions page where you list, what just for your users, you would have a page that would have several, questions and answers on it, and they would navigate to that page, and which is typical. But there is FAQ page schema where you can add the code. You can add, and I'm sure this is probably part of the the schema.dev plugin
It is.
for FAQs and frequent. So basically, you put in the question and you put in the answer. And I've
Right.
noticed that in the answer, if you have an extra quotation mark, for example, or you have quotation marks around a few words, that the code actually might break, and Google might say, hey, there's something weird going on because you have an extra quote mark in there. So yeah, I mean, it definitely is helpful to have something that will validate that code, because like I
Yeah.
said, luckily I was able to find that error on a site I was working on, or a page I was working on. My process is actually just to fix it and then make sure that the cache version is clear of the page, it's loading properly, and then I resubmit it to Google and search, in the Google Search Console
Right.
URL inspector tool,
Yeah.
and hopefully fairly quickly Google will see it and fix it.
So a second component of the Schema Builder tool
Yep.
that's going to be coming soon. It's not, you can read about it on the site at schema.dev, but it's not active yet, but it soon will be, is our tester. And so not only can we help you build on the fly, build the code and
Sure.
build valid code, but you can test any existing code, go to page, and simpler than using the Google tool, because again, you do it right on the page. You just go to the page,
Yep.
you'll be able to hit the tester tab and immediately see any errors that that they're finding on your page. The final component, which will come out much later, is our deployer, and that will be the only paid component of this tool. You don't have to use it. You can use everything. Everything else will be free forever. But the deployer will be for much larger sites who want to be able to use this tool at scale, and it will help them build patterned code that they can apply across thousands or millions of pages. So that's off in the future. That's kind of our roadmap for the tool.
That sounds great. So moving on a little bit, obviously on page SEO is important. We mentioned HTML, and we mentioned just the raw markup of H1s and H2s, H3s, and then we get into bold, italic, and so forth, and a lot of the on-page factors. So you mentioned to me earlier, we were talking about, and you also have another browser plugin called Spark that does kind of a content, help check your your SEO on each on the page. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, Spark's been around for a while.
Okay.
We don't talk about it enough, and more people ought to
Sure.
be using it because it's wonderful. I use it every day. Spark, again, is a free Chrome browser plugin,
Okay.
and I'll mention at the end, how you can get it. It's pretty easy. But
Yep.
what Spark concentrates on the three areas that we think at seoClarity are central to successful SEO, and that's usability, relevance, and authority. So it gives you instant on-the-fly information out of our huge database for any page on the web. You go to the page, you hit the Spark tool, again, sidebar comes down. It's going to tell you, first of all, do a usability analysis. So part of the SEO Clarity platform is a full audit platform. We have, for our enterprise level clients, we have unlimited audits and crawls that can be run.
Sure.
But we use that tool to find the top 40 things that usually go wrong on a site.
Okay.
So we'll quickly give you those errors, the things that you might want to check from a usability standpoint. Second is relevance. We'll check the topical relevance of your authority, again, using our AI-assisted content topic builder.
Yep.
We'll tell you how relevant it is compared to your competition out there, and make suggestions for things that you might want to add to the content to increase its relevancy. And then finally, authority.
Okay, Mark. So the Spark plugin is this optimization tool for or plugin for Google Chrome. Tell me a little bit about it, and what actually it does.
Yes, that Spark is our other free tool available to anybody in the SEO community who wants to use it. You don't have to be an seoClarity client or use our platform to use it.
Okay.
It draws from the full power of our platform. So again, it's a Chrome plugin. In a moment, I'll share how you can get it. It's very easy to get it and install it. Once you have it
Sure.
installed, you're on any web page, you click on the extension in your Chrome toolbar. Just like with the Schema Builder tool, it brings down a sidebar and it gives you
Okay.
information on what we think are the three most important areas for an SEO to know for on page. One is that's usability, relevance, and authority.
Okay.
We think if you're building in those three areas, you're going to do great at SEO. So from the
Yep.
usability standpoint, we go into our Clarity audit tool. So if you were a full-scale seoClarity client, you get full access to our unlimited crawler and then
Okay.
our audit tool, which has hundreds of points that it gives you for an SEO audit.
Sure.
Our Spark tool gives you the top 40. So it's going to look at the page and tell you, if there's any of those top 40 areas that you should concentrate on or where there might be errors or something that you might want to fix. The second thing is the content relevance that uses our AI-driven content topical authority tool to rate your content and to give you some simple suggestions about how you can improve it to get more relevance that might make it show up more actively in the search engines. And then finally, authority based on link authority. So we use the full power of the Majestic backlink database to give you backlink data right on the fly. So again, the tool
Okay.
works like you're on the page, you click it, you get all that data for free. Here's how to get it. Go to seoclarity.net. That's seoclarity.net and go to the SEO resources tab and you'll find all of our resources there. Just look for Spark in the free tools and install it on your browser and you're good to go.
Okay. Sounds great. So how do we get in touch with you? I know that you also mentioned that we have a discount for my listeners today. But how can we get in touch?
Sure. First of all, to get in touch with me personally, I'm very active on Twitter all day long. So that's always a great
Okay.
place to reach me. And it's just my name, @Mark Traphagen.
Sure.
If you can spell that, Traphagen, you got me. So that's probably the best place to get me online.
Okay.
And then, seoclarity.net to find out more about our platform. And yes, let me share a special offer that's just exclusively for your audience, Bill.
Okay.
Between now and the end of July, if they'll use code BH2020, so Bill Hartzer, think Bill Hartzer, of
Yep.
course, BH2020 at checkout, you can get 20% off for life from our Essentials product. Now, what Essentials is, seoClarity Essentials,
Sure.
is the three most essential parts of our platform. It's not the full platform,
Okay.
because our full platform is designed for huge enterprise businesses. But we wanted to
Sure.
make something available to people with independents or smaller or medium-sized businesses that might not need or be able to afford our full functioning platform. So you get you get keyword reports, you get keyword research, and you get
Yep.
our content builder to build better and more relevant content. All in this package. It's based on the number of keywords that you want to buy. So you buy as much or as few as you want to buy.
Yep.
And so the offer is, again, that whatever you decide, whatever level of the package you decide to buy for how many keywords that you want to be able to track in the package, with BH2020 entered at
Yep.
checkout, get
Okay.
20% off of that for as long as you use it.
All right. That's a great deal. I think I'm going to probably take advantage of that offer myself. So it's
Terrific.
seoclarity.net is the website, and we can follow you on Twitter at Mark Traphagen.
That's it.
Okay. Sounds great, Mark. Thanks for joining me this afternoon. This has been the Digital Marketing Podcast with Bill Hartzer, and we'll see you online. Thanks.